So, Tiffany, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Tiffany?
I can. Countdown's about to stop. Yes, I can hear you. We are live right now.
Okay. Did you want me to, were you going to say something first, or did you want me to just start sharing?
No, ma'am. I'm going to start everybody off.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Hold on. Hello, everyone. This is Tiffany with the Earn Your Wings Book and Speakers Tour. And today we are jumping off with Crime Victims Week. Crime Victims Week actually starts today, and it is going to go all the way through to April 12th. And so today you are going to meet several of our partners and sponsors that are on the tour, on the Earn Your Wings tour. We're going to hear some inspirational stories, some testimonies of, survivors and what their journey has been like. And we just really want to make sure that we are sharing with everybody all of the things that is happening on the tour, but also how each person on this presentation tonight has been able to become survivors and thrivers. So not only are they possibly victims of crime themselves, but they may be advocating for people that they have lost, maybe their children, maybe their parents, a best friend, or something like that. And so being a survivor doesn't mean that you yourself have been a victim of crime. However, if there's been somebody in your life that has been significant in your life, a friend, a partner, a child, all of those things, even maybe your neighbor, it could have affected you in ways. And so anyone that is affected by crime or affected by anything traumatic can be a survivor. And we have several survivors on here today. So we want to jump right in because we have a lot of stories that we want you all to hear today. And we are so proud of everyone that is sharing their story. So we're going to get right in. We have our keynote speaker with us, Miss Renee Michelle. She is here with us today. We also have Miss Sylvia Stitt, Rodrigue DeLuce, Tiffany Knowlton, Miss Emerald, Dr. Shana Gordine, Queen Affy. We have a lot of phenomenal people on here tonight that are going to be sharing their stories with you just in time for Sunday dinner to inspire you and motivate you this week and hopefully beyond this week. I hope that whatever you hear today, that you will take it to heart, that you will share it with your families, that you will watch with your families, and you will join us. If it's not on the tour, you will join your community in some way to come up to be an advocate in your community and to reduce crime in your community. That is our wish for you today as a result of this virtual kickoff of the Earn Your Wings tour and Crime Victims Week. So we are going to jump right in, everyone. I am very, very proud of the people that are on here right now. They have made so many contributions to our community. And so our first person that is going to be sharing their story with us today, excuse me, I'm sorry, is going to be Miss Renee Fenwick. Miss Renee Fenwick, I know that you have gone through, a lot like all of us on here today, and you have made some very, very big movements and big impacts in the community. So, Miss Renee, can you please share your story with us today? Miss Renee, can you hear us? Yes, no. Yes, no. Can everybody hear me? Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. So not sure. Okay, let's see. Well, while we were doing that, Ms. Emerald, can you share with everyone some more details about Crime Victims Week, and I'll make sure that she's okay tech-wise.
Sure. National Crime Victims Week. This year, we're focusing on kinship. We are hoping that we can get our community together, especially here in Charlotte, North Carolina, for National Crime Victims Rights Week, to help amplify the voices of most people who might feel unheard by systematic traumas or environmental traumas that they're going through. Here in North Carolina right now, we are kicking off our Earn Your Wings tour, which our mission goes hand in hand with Crime Victims Week. Our mission is to help as well amplify the voices of crime victims and domestic violence survivors like myself. So that's why this tour is so important for me. April 6th through April 12th, the Earn Your Wings tour will be honoring National Crime Victims Week. We will be representing the mauve color. We'll also be amplifying the kinship mission this year. On April 10th, we'll have another virtual storytelling event. I believe it'll be around the same time. The Healing Festival is one of the events that I'm most excited for the Earn Your Wings tour. This is something that is special to me. I'll be one of the featured guests there. It's going to be at Dupin SWAT from 4 to 7 p.m. on April 11th, Friday, April 11th. So make sure you're there. Don't meet us there, beat us there, because we'll have quite a few of the North Carolina representatives for the Earn Your Wings tour, if not being a part of the show, being there to help the show. So you want to make sure that you go to Eventbrite, you look up the Earn Your Wings tour, and you can get your tickets, which they are actually free, but we are asking for donations to help support the other states that we'll be traveling in, from Georgia, South Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, Texas, Louisiana, and New York. So again, you want to make sure you're there. Don't meet us there, beat us there. On the 12th, we'll be having 2 events that'll take place. Again, all of this is during National Crime Victims Week. Our first event is going to be from 11 to 2:30, I believe. It's going to be our interactive self-care event. Now, you can find this event on Eventbrite as well. It'll be off of Brookshire here in Charlotte, North Carolina, where you can learn self-care techniques to defend yourself. A lot of people don't know how to, and we'll have Dayon. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, but definitely he knows who I'm talking about. You'll see his name. He'll be one of the sponsors that will be helping us with these skills and techniques with self-defense. This is something you definitely don't want to miss, because these are some of the skills that I wish I had during some of my instances that I might have been able to protect myself with, just outside of the trauma that we'll be visiting today. Anybody can use these skills, so you definitely want to be there. Another event that I'm excited about, the cookout, will be at Brookwood Inn. We're accepting donations. We're accepting sponsorships. If you want to come out and support, we're inviting everybody. If you're a part of any mental health organization, or if you are a mental health therapist, we will be serving the community with the cookout, of course, food, drinks, from 3 to 6 p.m. on April 12th. We'll have police presence, so that people can learn from each other, not just the community listening to each other, but we will also learn and be able to speak to some of the people who are, they're placed here to protect us when we're going through these instances. So again, all of our events this week in North Carolina tie to National Crime Victims' Rights Week. So this is something that you do not want to miss. You want to make sure that you sign up at Eventbrite for all of these events. Again, do not meet us there, beat us there. National Crime Victims Week is actually an initiative that has been going on a lot longer than the tour. So definitely get in contact with us, follow the page so you can find out more on how you can support us here in North Carolina or support the mission altogether. On mute.
There you go. Sorry about that, y'all. Thank you so much for letting us know what's going on for Crime Victims Week here in North Carolina, but all across the world. So thank you for sharing that. So just for you all, I am the founder of BVP Project Safe Haven, and also the visionary behind the Earn Your Wings tour. I myself am a survivor of both sexual assault and domestic violence. Unfortunately, growing up, the abuse started for me at a very young age through a family friend. And also there were some other instances in my home that took place among people that were trusted, growing up as a child. And so domestic violence became kind of my normal relationship after dealing with the childhood trauma and then getting into relationships that were just very unhealthy. And that was because I hadn't had the opportunity to put in the work to go get the help that I needed. And I didn't realize until I was in a place of just hating myself and going from one abusive relationship to another, suffered through a very violent sexual assault in 2005 in the DMV area where I'm from. And from there, I just said, I can't take it anymore. And within a month of being raped, that particular time, I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina to be closer to my family. I didn't have any kids at the time. I didn't have any children at the time. And so when I came down here, it was really to be closer to my family and to start over, because the person that raped me started stalking me. So, once I got to Charlotte, I started completely over and just really had a desire to work on myself and to work on taking accountability for my own actions. And I think that's something that a lot of victims, and survivors need to do. We have to take accountable for, the decisions that we make. And, what is it about us that keeps allowing us to get into these different types of relationships, putting ourselves in unsafe circumstances or environments and so forth. And so it's very important for victims and survivors to know what they can do to work on themselves so that they can avoid certain things in the future. That never means that it's your fault. It never means that anything you did warranted any of the abuse or any of the trauma or the crimes that happened to you. However, there are times when, as a survivor of domestic violence, you repeatedly put yourself in domestic violence relationships or unhealthy relationships. And at some point you have to look at yourself as a common denominator to find out what it is that you need to do to strengthen yourself, to love yourself, to know that you don't have to go through that pain and you don't have to go through that trauma, and that love is not supposed to hurt. So everyone, I feel that's something that should take place on everyone's journey, is just to see, how can I protect myself in the future, no matter what the trauma or crime was. We want to really look at ourselves and look at ourselves mentally to see, what is it about, us that we might need to work on, and so that we can protect ourselves in the future. And again, that's not placing blame. What that is saying is that, how can we protect ourselves in the future so that we do not go through these things anymore in our lives? So with that being said, our first official speaker for tonight that's going to be sharing their story is Miss Emerald. You just met her a few seconds ago, telling us about the Earn Your Wings tour, and she is here to share her story with you now. So Miss Emerald, it's on you, love.
Right. All right. Everyone can hear me, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So my story, I have plenty of stories I could share, but a couple of the traumas that have shaped me into the person I am today. I'm a survivor of a 2-time survivor of domestic violence, 2-time survivor of systematic religious prejudice. I like to chop up a lot of my issues with being a little too vulnerable in the wrong times with the wrong people. My first instance of being religiously prejudiced against, I was in middle school, and more than once. First time, my family, they converted to Islam back in the 70s. So I am a first generation Muslim. My family, I try to definitely go off of my religion the way I'm supposed to, by wearing my scarf. And my scarf was snatched off by a student. It was a humiliating time. I lashed out in an inappropriate way, but the student themselves, because I lashed out, wasn't reprimanded at all. It happened at the same school by a teacher. So it gave me this sense of being too vulnerable. And I think that kind of shaped why I accepted some of the more physical abuse down the line. Being too vulnerable, it'll do a lot for you when you're not necessarily aware of how to deal with it. My parents, they came from humble beginnings, and we as adults, you have to learn you can't blame anyone for your issues. And I know that my parents at the time did the best that they could. My father died of sickle cell anemia back in 2007. My mom died in 2011 of breast cancer. Doing my first go around with domestic violence, both of my parents were here, and because they had their own issues to deal with that they were unable to deal with because they didn't have the resources that I have available, they were unable to give me the attention that I try to not only give to my children, but to anybody that I see going through anything. You know, once you've gone through something too many times, you can start to pick up on when something is really wrong with people versus somebody's just so it gives you a sense of caring, but you have to use your discretion with how much you care, who you care about. So with that, I think trying to find that community that my parents weren't able to fully give me because they had their own humble beginnings to deal with, their own issues prior to their death, it left me susceptible to allowing a lot of unnecessary things. My first child's father, he placed his hands on me all the time as if it was just something that was okay. And I got too used to it to a point where I eventually let that go. My mistake was not allowing myself enough time to be single to jump into another relationship. So with that experience, I was too used to being around one experience and didn't quite know how I felt to be happy the way I am now. And that does a lot to a person, especially at the time I was young with young children. I'm looking forward to my partner being there for me. And he wasn't, neither one of them. So it is what it is now. I'm able to say that I've grown through that. And my biggest hurdle with trying to break the generational curse that I know my parents, or I felt like my parents had to endure, is therapy. That's what's helped me the most. That was the missing piece. A meaningful, ethical, raw therapist who wasn't necessarily, she said everything as nice as she could, but I realized I needed her maybe 9 months after incident where my second child's father threw a cup at my head and bust my skull. I have a skull fracture where I'm walking around with a titanium plate above my left eyebrow. I've sent some videos on some of my social media if you've had a chance to take a look at them, but that was Martin Luther King Day 2021. We argued about the simplest thing, and in that moment, it got too real. And those moments, our children were around, and it was so many things going through my head that made me feel like this is not the way I thought that my generational curse would be broke. I cannot be with this person and live to my fullest potential. I stayed with him trying to make it work for those 9 months till eventually I had a mental breakdown and had to stay to myself. And my therapist at the time, she definitely told me, you're going to get through it and it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty, but you're going to get through it. And I got faith in you that you will. So I made it my business to not just give up on the dream that I had to come from better than what I know my parents had the ability to provide for me at the time. But not only my therapist giving me this push, I have a best friend, I have children who are watching me. And first and foremost, the therapy taught me self-love. I can't take care of anybody else. And that was a big thing with me about how I lived my life. I wanted everybody else around me to be happy. And I want to say that the therapy helped me to furthermore break those generational curses because I am now. And it's helped me to earn my wings. So I just want to say thank you, everybody, for listening to me, because I could talk all day, but that is a quick synopsis of my Earn Your Wings story. And I can appreciate everybody on this call now for taking the time to listen.
Thank you so much, Emerald. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I know starting off an event like this is not easy, but you did an amazing job. I know that this is something that you are working on continuing to do. And as this being one of your first of many testimonies, I have to tell you that I'm very, very proud of you. And you're such an amazing woman. And I'm just looking forward to being a part of your journey and touring with you. I'm so excited for you. I'm very excited for you. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Emerald. Please tell everyone how they can follow you, Ms. Emerald.
I am under Emerald Elamine. That's EL-AMIN. That's EL-A like Adam, M like Mary, I like Igloo, N like Nancy at Facebook. And I am Carolina Honeydew on Instagram.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You have a chance to reacquaint with Miss Emerald here soon. So next we have Miss Renee. Miss Renee is actually our keynote for tonight, and she is going to be sharing with us her story as well. And she also was invited to be our keynote because she has been very influential in raising awareness to the government federal level. And so I asked her to be our keynote speaker tonight because that is something that the Earn Your Wings tour is also working on, is putting some initiatives in place to get them in to the lawmakers and elected officials. And so I thought it was very fitting for Miss Renee, or Dr. Renee, should I say, to be our keynote tonight. So Miss Renee, Dr. Renee, please, 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 the honor is mine to have you tonight. So please share your story with us.
Thank you, Tiffany, and thank you for everybody that's here. I appreciate you having me. For those of you that know, and my name is, some of you may know, some of you may not, but my name is Renee Michelle, and I am an humanitarian, an author, actress, and the founder of a nonprofit called Pain to Purpose. But for the most part, what's most important to me out of all of that is that I'm a survivor. And I come before you today as proof that your pain doesn't define you, it actually refines us. My story begins as a little girl growing up in a home full of fear. I witnessed my father abuse my mother, the yelling, the violence, the trauma. It became the backdrop to my childhood. I wasn't the one that was actually being hit, but I actually felt every blow. During that time, I was dealing with my own trauma because at that time as well, I was being sexually assaulted by several family members. The fear, the confusion, the silence, it actually shaped me. And in the midst of all that chaos, I mentally escaped. I escaped to a place that was called Point Lookout Beach, where we used to frequent when my family was getting along as a child. But back then, it was only in my imagination that I would escape there because it was safe and it was peaceful. Years later, I found myself in a relationship with the father of my daughter. And that relationship turned violent. I became a victim. He emotionally, physically, and mentally abused me. He eventually, he was a professional boxer, and he eventually started giving me blows to my head, which eventually caused me to suffer from epilepsy for 28 years. There were seizures, blackouts, and actually there were moments that I didn't think I was going to survive that situation, but I did. I realized that I hadn't just lived through trauma. I had been carrying generations of it for years. For so long, I stayed silent. I was ashamed. I was broken. But one day I decided no more. I started therapy. I started speaking out, and I started fighting, not just for myself, but for every person that's still suffering in silence. I realized my voice could be a weapon and a healing tool. Since 2012, I've been a national advocate against domestic violence and sexual assault. I've spoken at schools, on radio, the House of Delegates. I've even helped to contribute to legislation being passed. I work with shelters, and when those shelters were available, I've used my own funds to place women and children into hotels just to get them safe. Through my nonprofit, I've helped survivors start over, whether it's helping them to find housing, rebuild their self-worth, or simply just being there to say, you are not alone. I've written books, I've acted in films, and one of my greatest honors of my life is just recently being honored, having my honorary doctorate for the services and the impact that I've had in the community. I didn't earn it in a classroom. I earned it through blood, sweat, and survival. I do this work for my children who are proud of the woman that I've become. I do it for the little girl that I used to be, watching from the stairs while my father hurt my mother. I do it for the woman that I have become, trying to survive a love that nearly destroyed me. But I made it. I took every bit of my pain and I turned it into my purpose. And now I'm free. I'm here to help others and to do whatever I can in this world to make things better. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Can you
Renee.
hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.
Okay.
As a survivor of childhood trauma and abuse myself, I know that is not something that's easy to share. Also, when it's someone that is very close to you that you trust to protect you. So I know that I understand that. I know many others on here understand that. And just, being victorious and growing into an adult that wants to give back, doesn't want other people to hurt, doesn't want to hurt other people, because we know sometimes victims grow up and they become abusers themselves. And it takes, someone to be resilient, someone to have faith, someone to, love themselves and know that they deserve better for their lives, for them to get the help they need, and to be an adult that can give back to the community, that can share their stories, that can make a difference and to help others. So thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. Appreciate that. So I hope everyone is enjoying the story so far. I hope so. It's very inspirational to me as well. So we are going to move forward to our next speaker. And that is going to be, and I'm sorry, my schedule went down for a second. My schedule went down. My apologies. So our next speaker is Dr. Shayna. Dr. Shayna. We have so many doctors here that have earned recognition for their work in the community and what they're doing out there as community leaders. And I am so proud of this woman right here. These last couple of weeks, me and her have just been having some great conversations and supporting one another and seeing what else can we do on the tour, what else can we do, to help other people and just, trying to bring everyone together to make a difference. Not just not just BBP, not just Unmasked. We want to make sure that everybody's coming together, and we've been talking about it and collaborating on so many things. So I am very, very, very grateful to have Dr. Shayna on the tour with us. Dr. Shayna, please share your story.
Absolutely. How are everybody doing today? I am Dr. Sheena Gadine. I am a survivor of not one, but two physical, mental, and verbal domestic violence relationships. My incident happened, I was actually in 2011. I was pregnant with my daughter, and literally I got thrown against a cabinet while I was pregnant. I was about 7 months. And, as you go through this, your mind is my child, not me. And, I fought to get my kid's father hands from off my neck because he was strangling me as he had me against a cabinet. During this process, yeah, I decided to go back because I kicked him out the house. And as you go through this, you're pregnant, your hormones going, you already had another kid, and I'm like, maybe it'll work out. Nope, that was not the answer. So I actually got strangled again in my living room holding my daughter. And I decided to leave that relationship. And no, I didn't go to therapy. I didn't tell anybody when this first incident happened. I decided, like, all right, maybe I'll be okay. Maybe I can take care of myself and, just do with me and the kids. I got into another relationship about 4 years later. Unfortunately, it went down the same rabbit hole of being in another domestic violence relationship. They showed one face at the beginning and it turned out to be another face at the end. I got dragged upstairs, I got choked in my sleep, I got strangled in my sleep, I was locked in my bedroom. It just was a lot. And I had to come to terms when somebody tell you I'm going to slit your throat, it's time to go. And I got kids. So I decided to leave that relationship and I went to get them arrested. I got a restraining order, but during this process for a year, I got stalked. I got stalked for a year trying to go through my case with the incident. As that proceeded, I eventually was moved to another area of where I lived. I got my own apartment, changed cars, changed numbers, changed everything because my life was turned upside down. So I decided to work with this program called Unity House, and this is where I earned my wings. I decided in 2019 that no more, it was not an option. My kids needed better, I needed better, and it was a time to be better. So I went through Unity House to become a better version of me. As I went through that, I decided to write my book, which was called The Mask Behind the Mask. And from there, I earned my wings by turning my pain into purpose, being an advocate for domestic violence, going to the shelter, speaking out about the violence, talk about wherever platform I could say my story to help to empower someone, I did. My mission was to help people understand that they didn't have to stay there. They didn't have to be involved in that. And that no is no, and how to learn to set bad boundaries. I also went to therapy. I went through the process of healing me. I wanted a better version of me because I needed to be a better mom, a better daughter, a better sister, and a better purpose of being and walking in my gold of speaking up, knowing that my words have power, and being the voice for those of the voiceless. My thing was to say, not anymore, set your boundaries, teach people the red flags, and know that there's another side to the mission, and you don't have to look like your story. You don't have to self sabotage. And that is just important to know that you don't have to stay in that. So that is how I earned my wings. And now today I am Dr. Sheena Gadine after serving my mission for like the last 6 years. I've earned my Lifetime Achievement Award. I've actually just got awarded for Motivation and Life Coach of the Year last week in DC. So I'm here, and just know it's doable.
I love that. And congratulations. Got two doctors in here, y'all. Two. So far, so, I mean, come on. We got doctors in here. We've got, business owners in here. We have artists, poets. We have everything. Everybody is right here. All walks of life, all nationalities, all ages, all shades, all backgrounds that are sharing their story. So if you want to sponsor one of the speakers, or if you want to support one of the speakers, I've dropped the link so that you can be able to do that. And it goes towards the speakers that are on the tour to help with their expenses. So we are going to just move right along here to Miss Sylvia. Miss Sylvia Stitt is going to be sharing her story with us. I met Miss Sylvia at a community conversations that was hosted by CVPC, if y'all are familiar with that. And so Miss Sylvia Stitt Smith, she was there. She is a founder of the Samuel Stitt Foundation, but she also had a initiative that she was sharing there that really caught my attention. And it's also a focus for the Virginia team, which is gun violence. So briefly, I would love for Miss Sylvia to share what that initiative is. And we want to hear what her story is behind her mission.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, Tiffany. Thank you to the Earn Your Wings speaker tour, and certainly my thanks and gratitude for those individuals that have already shared their stories. My story, which is our story, my family, and others in the community can certainly relate, is where you start your day doing your normal. And you're doing that, until you're not. And in our instance, our normal was interrupted by a call that told us that my youngest son, Sam, had been shot, and that Sam didn't make it. And so with that type of an event, with all of the activity that follows, as you're trying to navigate through the shock of it, grief of it, the loss of it, the question came up in my mind, certainly, what now? And so my what now moment led me into community with the understanding that there are things that are happening to our children that cause them to have mindsets, that cause them to have emotions, that cause them to have experiences that will want to propel them into making decisions, such as the 14-year-old who pulled the trigger to take my son's life. And so before I go any further, what I really would like to do is just take a very brief moment just to introduce you to Sam. He's the reason for my being here. He's the reason for the activity that I involve myself in, and he's the reason for the advocacy and the collaborations that we do in the community. So I think you'll be able to see, I certainly want to be able to show the world what we lost in the midst of everything. So this is Samuel Harrison Stitt. Sam is my why. And so as we go through the work that we engage in our communities, one of the things, again, that I knew going in very early on is with information about ACEs. And as our prior panelists have talked about, childhood traumas and things that happen to us that can form a mindset and form emotional bondage that causes us to be influenced to do certain things and feel certain ways. And so we understand that a lot of that is based on social disparities as well as the traumas that happen in our homes. And so some of our very early activities were to work with our homeless neighbors. We worked with people who had been involved in survived human trafficking. We worked to be a part of resource development for the schools, the children in the school system, because again, you have to be able to address some of the things that cause the emotions and the violence that perpetuates our communities. And so actually, just as a correction, I am executive director for the Sam Stitt Foundation. Sam's dad, my husband Michael, is actually the founder. And together we have also embarked upon scholarship programs in our community at Johnson C. Smith for social work, because we understand that social work is one of those things that touches a lot of different areas and not just one phase of things. So some of the things that we've also done is to also amplify and lift up the voice of survivors. And we've had Comfort in the Cloud, which is a grief support group. A lot of people come through, and while everybody's story is not the same, I think some of the needs that we have as survivors are certainly fall into a category of a need to be able to express ourselves, a need for empathy, and then also a need for empowerment. So I think with those three things together, the expression, the empathy, and the empowerment, we're able to find the strength that we need to be able to live life on life's new terms. We've also done Sisters Assembly, which was more of a ministering opportunity to come in, because there is a very deep spiritual need in a lot of these cases where counseling and other therapies touch different areas of our lives. And so being a part of the Carolina Violence Prevention Collaborative is where I met Miss Tiffany and was able to connect with her. And the initiative that we brought forth during that particular meeting is under Mecklenburg County's Office of Violence Prevention. But the initiative that we brought forth is to light the night, to light the sky, to illuminate the towers here, uptown Charlotte in orange. And that's during the month of June, which is National Gun Violence Awareness Month. And our city officials, they've worked with those business owners that manage the towers for the last couple of years, the effort has proved fruitless. They've not done it. I don't know the reasons, but we're working to work through relationship, through coalition building, partnership, and through collaboration with organizations locally, regionally, and also organizations that have a national presence, to be able to show that it's just not about addressing gun violence, but it's also about acknowledging and addressing the effort and the work, the healing and the empowerment for our communities that gun violence is a catalyst for. So I would encourage each of you guys that are on the panel, everybody who's listening, to be able to lend your support to that effort, so that the city officials, the uptown businesses, and our community can know that it's not just something that impacts one area, but it impacts us all. And so again, I know that as survivors, our needs can be very varied. The ways that we work through our grief journey can be very varied. And while my journey has taken me into community and into spaces and places to be a support, sometimes the best thing that we can do is just to get up in the morning, watch the face, and go about our day. So we want to be very empathetic to all of those different challenges that come with this grief journey, that are part of losing someone. Like we lost our son, Sam. Sam was 23 years old, a very high impact individual, a very ambitious individual, and an individual who had a very bright future ahead of him. And again, unfortunately, through the actions of a 14-year-old, 14, I'll say it again, 14-year-old, we lost our son to gun violence. So again, as you encounter opportunities in your community to make a difference, to lift somebody up, to say a nice thing, to advocate, to be the strength when somebody's strength is not there, to be a voice for those who are unable to speak on their own behalf, they can use the encouragement. I would invite everyone to be able to take just one moment and know that through expression, through empathy, and through empowerment, we all can make it through these journeys that have taken us through some sort of violence, interaction, and trauma in our lives. So I thank you. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for your continued efforts to make our communities better. And thank you for your advocacy and your support for one another as we all are able to lift each other up in this journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for the update. So for me when it comes to your foundation. I really appreciate you doing this this movement for Uptown Charlotte, because when I met you, you did bring out a couple of points that they light up Charlotte for a lot of different causes. And so this is a cause that I think would have a greater impact than just lighting the town, you know, the different colors for, you know, I don't know, maybe to me, if you can light the town for the upcoming football, you know, team or something like that, then you can light it for gun violence. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know, so BVP and Earn Your Wings is supporting the cause. We sent our logos to Miss Sylvia. So if you are interested in supporting the cause, please, please, please reach out to Miss Sylvia to find out how to support the cause. It's not too late. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All righty. So we are moving right along. We are going to hear next from Miss Tiffany Knowlton. Miss Tiffany is, I have to say, one of my dearest friends from the moment I met her. She's just been an amazing person, very supportive of BVP Project Safe Haven and of the Earn Your Wings tour. And she has a story that needs to be heard. And so she is here to tell her story. So Miss Tiffany, please tell us your story.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tiffany. I am a survivor of, I'm going to start off on a timeline type thing, because I believe that what I've been through in my earlier years kind of led me up to the story that I'm about to embark on with you guys. I was sexually assaulted at the age of 15. And in the midst of telling a family member, I was told that I was to blame for it. So, in having that said to me, the second time it happened at the age of 17, I didn't tell anyone. And because of that, at the age of 19, I was the victim of human trafficking. So, wasn't very aware of what human trafficking was at the time. It has become a very more talked about topic at this time in our present, but back in the early 2000s, it was basically just prostitution or pimping. I met someone through a mutual friend who introduced me to her pimp, who then introduced me to the life that I was about to live in his mind. But there was something inside of me that wouldn't let me become too much of the victim, because I ended up getting away just before I was put out on the streets. I tell my story very often, and due to the trauma of the story, because this is the most traumatic that I think I've ever had to deal with, I tend to still have some discomfort in the details. So, but what I do like to say is I'm more so of a victim of recruitment within human trafficking than anything else. And with that, that's what I use to run off on when I'm explaining and telling my story to community events or podcasts or radio shows or whatever platform I'm able to tell my story on, because I believe that it's vital to know the signs and the know-how of how to identify what exactly is going on, especially for a younger individual, like a young adult, because they're so vulnerable. And that's the key thing that a lot of traffickers go after, is vulnerability. So I'm very passionate about survival work and advocacy. I have become an advocate with the Earn Your Wings cohorts program with Tiffany for domestic violence and sexual assault. I am also survivor of domestic violence as well. I believe that human trafficking, domestic violence, they all go hand in hand, and sexual assault. But as of right now, I'm utilizing my experience and my traumas to be more motivational for victims who are just coming out of the life or are possibly victims in the moment. I have experience working with the Tri-County Human Trafficking Task Force here in South Carolina. I've been a survivor subcommittee member with the Attorney General's office. I do a lot of advocacy work with human trafficking, whether it's here in the state of South Carolina or in the state of Connecticut. And I am more than welcome. I'm very open to being utilized by anyone who needs to hear my story to kind of put the information and resources out there for the community so that they can help other community members or family members or whoever, especially the younger kids who are vulnerable, like I said before, to avoid what I had to go through from happening, because I would never want anyone to feel or see or do the things that I had to feel, see, or do to get out of the situation. So that's my story, and that's how I earned my wings. So if you guys need to, or if you have any questions or would like to find more information, you can follow my Facebook group, which is called Lost Voices. Hashtag help me help them. I post a lot of information for resources, the importance of what to look out for, and things of that nature. So, yeah, that's my story.
Thank you so much, Tiffany. I really appreciate you sharing that. I agree with you that sexual assault, domestic violence, human trafficking, they all kind of interchange with one another. And unfortunately, that makes it an even bigger problem. It makes all three even a bigger problem because they all get intertwined with one another. And so sometimes we have victims that suffer all of them. They suffer the sexual assault. They suffer the domestic violence from, their pimp who they are committed to. That's a relationship. And then being also a victim of human trafficking on top of that. And that's so unfortunate, and especially, not especially, but coming from a place of, childhood trauma, domestic violence, sexual assault. I can't even imagine even experiencing human trafficking on top of all of that. So the fact that you have says a lot about your strength and your resiliency and your story. And I'm so proud of you. Since we've met, you have just taken off with sharing your story. And I am extremely proud of you, not just as my best friend, but also as a woman, also as a thriver, as Dr. Shannon would say. Dr. Shannon made sure to say thriver when I said survivors. I'm trying to use that more because I understood her reason for saying thriver instead of survivor, even though neither one of us are wrong, right? So I'm putting it out there, Tiffany. You are a thriver. Not just a survivor, because you are sharing your story just like everybody on here today. So thank you so much. While I'm talking about Dr. Shana, we do have her book with us, Turning My Pain into Purpose. Would love to give away a copy. So I'm going to put the link in the comments if you would like to get a copy of her book, Turning My Pain into Purpose. So thank you so much, Tiffany. I appreciate you. And we are moving right along. We're going to be taking a break here soon, so to give our speakers a moment of self-care. But before we do, we want to hear from our first male panelist. And I think that this is so important when we have men that are in this fight with us. They say that men, even though us ladies, we make an impact. When you have a man that is among our children and our youth, they make a bigger impact because naturally we look for men to lead. So when men become leaders, people pay attention, especially when they're positive and impactful, and they have a purpose, like this young gentleman that's coming on today. So, Roderick, please share your story with us.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Can everyone hear me loud and clear? Can you hear me? Everyone? Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
My name is Rodrigue, artist name Wooden Soldier. And I am here at many levels with you. First off, I want to say it's very important that I'm here today. I am one of many great men that will be along these great women for the same mission. Um, as a man, uh, I feel it's more important right now, this very moment, April 6th, 2025, for us to be involved, uh, so we can really get to the root issue. Let's just be for real. Um, I am the New York tour lead, and my focal point is going to be working with the children, and it's going to be working with men and all walks of life who experience all forms of domestic violence, uh, bullying, and I want to target the youth before I get into my story because uh, it happens then. We don't even realize it. And I'm speaking from experience as a young man. I told myself, if my girlfriend was handsy, she's spicy, you know, and that developed to uh, you telling yourself, I don't want a girl that's boring, but that's not boring because someone's respectful or someone has values. It's something that needs to be said, and it's something that needs to be done about that. And I created a hashtag called No Gender for Her because, believe it or not, it happened to us men. I am a survivor of multiple things, of not just abuse, but as far as street violence as well. Like, it can happen, and it's all neck and neck. And as a mental health liaison, I want to be part of changing the narrative. Like, so many cultures accept therapy, and I've said it thousands of times that everyone wants to go green, everyone wants to ride their bike, but they must take care of their heart and they must take care of their brain. That's where we are. And now that we are, I don't want to use the term woke, we are on board. I feel like our power's on. And he's like, now that we're activated, we have to be fully activated. Me, myself, I was in a couple of relationships when I didn't accept the fact that it was that toxic to, be with somebody. And, you tell yourself like, okay, I'm going to stick around because I love her, or if you're in a situation, if you have children together, and if a person has a problem with their hands as a man, um, we can't always don't let it explode in your face by allowing it to happen, by sticking around. Sometimes the hard decision to leave is the best decision because you're going to be the one enduring it too until, God forbid, it explode, and then it's on the opposite end. And then you'll tell yourself like, well, I should have seen the signs. I should have seen the signs. I should have seen the signs. But, the signs were already, they were there. I'm a man, so I know, and I'm not speaking for every man, but I'm speaking from a perspective of being a man and being in relationships, a couple that were toxic. And I want to get to the youth so they can understand, like, you don't have to be in a relationship and tell yourself, oh, it's fiery, or, this is that young stuff, because you guys are, no, that's not good. It's not good for boys and girls to be putting their hands on each other, to be thinking it's okay because maybe they probably seen it at home, or just thinking that, they like this type of person, because it's not healthy. And I want to change that. Part of this tour, we're going to be in each of these states, in New York, in Maryland, in DMV, in DC, in Virginia, in North Carolina, South Carolina, in Atlanta, Texas, and Louisiana, I believe. Like, each state, I am going to have like a real intent on connecting with the youth. I am one who hits the ground running. So like I am I'm gonna hone in. And along with the great gentleman that's gonna be with me, we're gonna be giving out hugs. We're gonna be giving out love to show people what it's like, the healthy way. We have to remove a lot of this healthy thinking and this unhealthy habits. It has to be replaced with good ones. And sometimes a good old fashioned hug and an outlet is so many men I know from experience that they don't. It's no resources. There's no resources for men to get the help, and I want to advocate for that as well on this tour, along with the women, because it needs to be seen. We need to be there to support the women to may explain to a man who don't get it on why it should never be. I can break that down verbatim real quickly, and I want to. And we're going to be on a mission. And doing that, I became connected with like minds with all these states. I met a lot of great people and continue to meet a lot of great people. I'm an artist myself, so I'm also going to be part of the musical side of the Earn Your Wings project. It's going to be amazing. I promise you. It'll be actually imparted with some forever tools in that music. I guarantee you, because that's the mission. We're going to put some forever tools in that music as well, and freedom of expression. That's going to be phenomenal. And that's going to be my mission, my focal point. And I'm just grateful for the opportunity to be working with everyone here. If anyone from this moment on, if they have any questions and they want to get some form of mental health and they want to get some therapy in, they can reach us at EYWcares@gmail.com. That's EYWcares@gmail.com. Myself or our other mental health liaison, Emerald, we will be there to get the ball dribbling, and we can get you connected with a culturally competent therapist that you will be able to connect with. I believe that makes a world of a difference for you to connect with someone who ate the same food as you, who listened to the same music, who understand your upbringing. It can crack the shell open quicker to get the healing process. And I so believe it's possible. It's not a life, it's not a trend, it's a lifestyle, and it's our life and it's your life. So thank you for everyone, and that's how I earn my wings.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. That was great. And the impact that we are wanting on the tour is one of people that are committed. And it doesn't matter what kind of crime you are advocating for or against. Okay. So I hate to say crime, you're an advocate for domestic violence, because you're not actually for domestic violence, right? So you're an advocate against domestic violence. But you can be a survivor of any kind of trauma. You might have witnessed, different forms of trauma, maybe in hospitals, or maybe you witnessed crime, working in the mental health profession, or maybe you've witnessed, some disparities when it comes to, the states that you live in, the counties that you live in. Maybe they're not giving, you don't feel like they're giving enough support to victims of crime, or that they're suppressing the rights of victims in your county or in your state. And that could be for offenders as well. We do know that sometimes people are accused of crimes that they have not even committed before, but yet they're spending 20, 30 years in jail. 2 men just was released from jail this year after spending 20-year sentences. That's a crime in itself. So there's no one crime above the other crime. If you've suffered through any kind of crime, if you've been witness to any kind of crime, if you have seen where things need to change when it comes to victimization of any kind, then this is the place for you. We want you here. We want you here on the tour to share. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Our next speaker, let me see if she is on here. Let me see. Nope, she's not on here. Okay, so we are going to take a 5-minute break. We're going to listen to a little bit of music here for a second, let everybody refresh themselves, and we were going to come back. It is right now 3:13. We'll come back at 3:18. So please, please, please get up and stretch and get ready to hear some more powerful, powerful stories. We'll be right back. Y'all want to turn your cameras off while we're on break?